questions for Anna or on this subject?
So this is another one of the ones we have to appropriate in, and then we get the money.
That's correct,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
I'll move to approve a special appropriation for a grant in the amount of $20,000 from the State Historic Preservation Office with the Department of Economic and Community Development and CNRE Fund 32 to a budget account titled Archaeological Renaissance Survey with a corresponding revenue account and forward to the Board of Finance for their approval. The survey will be of the Samuel Smith property for the purpose of being recognized as a certified local government.
Second. Motion is made and second. Is there discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Motion carries. Thank you.
And do I see correctly that a town meeting is required for this? Is there a
Right.
little note under,
Is that what it says?
That's what it says. Yeah.
Town meeting isn't required.
2D is the added item.
For Bayruther?
Yes.
I did get some correspondence from Mr. Dunn. The appraisal came in at $281. So. There you go.
Yeah. I'll make a motion resolved to approve and forward to the Board of Finance for a special appropriation amount of $280,000 from Open Space Fund 59 to purchase the property located on Assessor's Map 22, Lot 1 and abutting Quarry Dock Road. The first selectman is authorized to execute in the name and on behalf of the town a contract to purchase said property at the above price subject to funds assembled from the following sources: $150,000 from the Thompson Family Foundation, $100,000 grant from the state of Connecticut, $25,000 from the town of East Lyme, and the balance of $5,000 as may be amended by the usual customary closing adjustments and costs will be paid by the Friends of Oswegatchie Hills, Inc. The sale is also subject to approval of the proposed purchase by the appropriate boards, commissions, and agencies of the town. The first selectman is also authorized to execute a declaration of conservation easement and restrictions regarding the use of such property in favor of the Friends of Oswegatchie Hills Nature Preserve, Inc., and to execute a conservation and public recreation easement and agreement in favor of the state of Connecticut.
second.
Resolution has been made. Is there a second?
Roseanne did.
That's been
I'm
seconded.
sorry, I didn't hear. Thank you. Made and seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate so by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? And this will also require a town meeting.
Did you have something you wanted to say, Tracy?
I just wanted to say that this does not need 8-24 referral because you've already gotten approval for this.
From planning,
Yes,
824.
but it does need a town meeting.
Thank you. Good on that item?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. The next item is discussion, possible action. The next item is discussion, possible action, and realignment of Mostaway Road. I've asked attorneys Block and Sweeney to come here to give us an update as to where we are. As you know, back before I got here, there was discussion of a land swap to make the entrance of Mostaway Road more of a 90-degree angle to allow for better access for town vehicles as that subdivision was being developed. A whole series of events have occurred since that time, and now we are in the midst of litigation and coming to the end of that. Mr. Block, Mr. Sweeney have been discussing this particular item with the owner of the property and are here to update us with regard to that so that we can move forward. And it does have to do with some of the settlement for the compromise agreement, et cetera. Mr. Block?
Good evening. If I might just put this map up to give members of the board some assistance. Everyone see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could focus in on that too, Bob, if you wanted. Can we do that, or is it
Do you need
because?
to-
It's almost impossible with
Which
one
camera?
camera.
We still have
we-
one
we-
camera
yeah,
up?
we still have
Okay,
one camera.
okay, fine.
Yeah, sorry.
Let
as
the,
Mr.
let the public,
Yeah,
let the
we
public
said.
know who's watching, who may not be able to see that the map is an entrance of the northern end of Mostaway Road as particularly proposed to be amended from a 45-degree to more of a 90-degree angle in front of the two homes that are there, and that's what the discussion will center about.
I asked Mr. Formica to put this, or Mr. Sweeney and I asked Mr. Formica to put this on the agenda tonight so we could report to the board on a resolution of just two limited issues that have been long-standing issues with the town. One involves the discontinuance of a portion of Mostowy Road and the realignment of it, and the other is the completion of the paving of Darrow's Ridge Road and Darrow's Court. So this is part of an entire package that we think we've resolved and can get accomplished before year end. There are two aspects in connection with this Mostowy Road issue. If you recall, and I don't go quite back that far with this case, and some of you might or might not, but when the subdivision was originally approved, there was one lot, Lot 31, which was subdivided in 2010 by the Planning Commission into two lots, which are known as Lot 25 and Lot 31. When the subdivision was approved, part of the conditions of the subdivision would be that these parcels that are shown as a triangle here, and a triangle here toward parcel A, which involves the traveled portion of the current Mostowy Road and an area down to the east, which shows a realigned Mostowy Road that empties out onto Chesterfield Road. And the original concept and the original plan with the developer was there would have been a landslide that got tied up for a number of years in the various issues between the town and the developer. But these parcels that are the triangles, which encompass the current Mostowy Road, would be deeded to the adjoining lots. Mostowy Road would be discontinued, and this parcel here, which is owned by the developer or an entity related to the developer, would be deeded to the town, and the realigned Mostowy Road would be constructed. Over the course of years, we've gotten Army Corps permits, wetlands have been dealt with, the road has been cut in, so to speak, it has not been finished, but we have reached an understanding with the developer such that the lots, the triangles that are adjacent to lot 25 and 31 would be deeded onto lots 25 and 31. These have been sold, and we will notify the lot owners. It was part of the condition of approval of the subdivision that these parcels be adjoined to these lots, and the developer will quit claim this land here to the town, which would then realign Mostowy Road. The traveled portion of Mostowy Road, which the town now owns, would need to be discontinued, and that will require a town meeting to accomplish, along with acceptance of the Mostowy Road when it is finished. Between Attorney Sweeney and myself and the developer, we've developed a timeline in order to accomplish that, which requires that the town and the developer would end up with a memorandum of understanding, which would just outline the core steps that we have to require, thank you very much, the steps that are required to accomplish this. We would execute deeds that would be placed in escrow pending the completion of the discontinuance process, and the acceptance process of the road would also take into consideration the 824 review, which we probably will undergo again, although there is some documentation indicating back in 2006 or 2007, there was an 824 review by the Planning Commission, which approved it. But because so many years have elapsed, and an abundance of caution, we will probably have the Planning Commission do that 824 review again. We've discussed with the town and Mr. Shear's office the completion of construction of the paving of the realigned Mostowy Road, and the town can accomplish that probably in September. We believe that at the same time, we can complete the paving of the final course on Darrow's Ridge Road and Darrow's Court, which remains to be done, has been a sore point with the residents of Darrow's Ridge for a number of years. So we think that with the cooperation of the developer, the cooperation of the town, we can at long last get that road paved, get the intersection of Mostowy Road and Chesterfield Road realigned, which will resolve the safety issues that the town has struggled with over the years, involving the school buses and the like. So we think it's a win-win situation for the town and the residents of Darrow's Ridge. We will need to work with the lot owners of Lot 25 and Lot 31 in connection with the addition of this property to their lots. And we believe that we can get this done in a timeline in which we could begin construction in August. We believe we can get the paving done in September. We believe with proper timing, we can get the town meeting called and done by, I think we have a date in October to accomplish a town meeting, hopefully get that approved, and then have the deeds recorded in the latter part of October and be done with this project.
Thank you.
But we wanted to bring all of this to your attention so that when it came on a later agenda, the public knows, the Board of Selectmen know. I don't know if Mr. Sweeney, if you have anything to add to.
The only thing, I don't know if you made clear that the subdivision is closed and the bond was forfeited to help pay for the paving of the road. We have $80-some-odd thousand from the developer to pay from the upper portion down, and we will have to put some money to do this, but we have money that we can put this in.
And just to echo that, again, my name, for the record, my name is Bill Sweeney. I'm with T-Cores, and I serve as land use counsel when Mr. O'Connell's firm is conflicted out of matters. As First Selectman indicated, we do have just over $80,000 that was called on the bonds for Phase 1 and Phase 3 of Darrow's Ridge, which, in my conversations with Mr. Shear, is sufficient, in his opinion, to cover the final course of paving for those two roads. There is some additional monies for the completion of the realignment, but I did talk to Mr. Shear this week. He's ready to mobilize on this project as soon as we can get this MOU finalized with the developer and we get those deeds put into escrow. We're ready to go. And the bottom line is something that's been, I think a lot of people have been looking for many years to be resolved, can be done this fall. It's an aggressive timeline, and obviously weather has to cooperate. But we're optimistic that we're going to be able to get it done and be before you in October with the acceptance of Darrow's Ridge Road, the acceptance of Darrow's Court, the acceptance of the realigned section, and the discontinuance of Old Mostowy Road.
I would just like to also add that as this has been a long time process in the subdivision, I've met on many occasions with the neighborhood association there in full membership in their board. They have issues with water up there. There's a high level of manganese and iron in all of those wells, and many of those residents have resorted to a large and expensive filtration systems. So this was delayed somewhat as with the regional interconnection about to be energized. We now have water to supply to some of these areas. So the Water and Sewer Department, our good Public Works Director, Bill Shear and I investigated the possibility of running a pipe up there to service town water to these residents, at which case they would be assessed a fee to help us pay for that water to go up. So that took a number of months for us to determine and bring to the board. They had voted that initiative down. They felt they'd rather, instead of paying the assessment, move forward. So we wanted to wait and make sure that was taken care of, so we didn't have this paved and then have to trench it up to put water up there should that have come next year or the other. So we provided the opportunity, provided the dollars, we studied the matter, and they decided against participating in the assessment. So now we can move forward. We did talk to the board about trying to promise them this year, and Joe is going to put this in the schedule. He has a very aggressive paving plan. The money, I believe, that we need to come out of that will be in our budget for road reconstruction. Is that correct? And we'll give you a detailed accounting as to what that item costs once we get the pay. But there is some punch list items that have to be done with that $83,000, but they're not very many. The lion's share of it is that paving. So I just wanted to add that. I want to thank the attorneys for getting together with the other side and working this out.
Just want to add that Mr. Sweeney and I met with the developers last week. We went over the timeline with them. We went over all the components with them. We were in substantial agreement on all the terms and this process to get it accomplished, and we believe that we will have full cooperation from everybody in order to get this done and get this behind us in this calendar year.
Is it necessary for a motion to move?
We don't need any action by the board this evening. We will circulate a proposed resolution for the discontinuance and the process for that. There has to be a town meeting called for that, and I think you, as listening to the agenda, there will be another town meeting scheduled, so maybe they can all be on the same agenda. But we're going to be as aggressive with this schedule as we can be.
Okay.
Paul, I just had one question. Since it does cut into a state road, there's no problem with DOT? That's, obviously always a concern.
This realignment, to my knowledge, has already been presented to DOT and
Okay.
approved by DOT.
Okay.
It's just the inability to get all the moving
Okay,
parts
that's-
together that's prevented this.
Because
And-
the state can find a way to slow a lot of things down, so.
Yeah, no, this is not a DOT issue.
Okay.
Okay, and the
Excuse me.
purpose of the town meeting
Would
is
be
to
by statute,
accept,
two things.
Discontinue.
By statute, in order to, there's a concept of abandonment of a road and discontinuance of a road. An abandonment of a road is where the town purposely does not use a road. That's not the case with Mostowi. In the case of Mostowi, the town is using the road and chooses to discontinue it, which requires notice and a town meeting and action of the Board of Selectmen to do it, and acceptance of the road requires action of the
Okay,
board
all
to
right,
do that
thank you.
also.
Could you tell me where the road is discontinued in relation to the entry to the subdivision?
No, it's just to the right there for the 90 degree.
This is the entry to the subdivision over here, so the discontinuance is from
That.
this point back to this point.
Where would Rocco Road be in a?
Rocco's across the
I mean,
street.
I know where it is, but it might help if.
I understand.
Okay.
So, Mark, do we also, the town is also gonna rip up all the pavement? And are we just gonna leave the road there, or
No,
is
we
it all
have to.
getting
I
ripped up
believe-
and being seeded or something?
I believe the road is just gonna be discontinued and not used. I don't think there's any plan to rip up that road.
Well, how would
The
you stop
plan-
people from driving on it?
If I may
Okay,
answer that
yep, yeah,
question.
absolutely.
We are going to use a portion of that road because we have to create a driveway into one of those lots, and we're going to use a portion of that road to create a driveway, and then we're going to take the rest off, grind up the pavement.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what I'm
block
getting
it off so people don't drive up there.
Right,
But you'll
because
have to,
people are used to
you'll
going.
come up the 90 degree, you'll turn right, and then you'll go down a couple feet of that road, whatever it is, and turn left into one or both of those lots,
Okay.
depending on where the driveway
Yeah,
goes.
all right.
Bill Shear is working on the
Yeah,
details.
I'm
of
sure he has got it figured out. I was just, I was assuming that we're going to
We're not gonna let people use any
Yeah,
portion of that.
we're gonna
road
get rid of the
before
road.
they come in.
I think by
Because
the
it-
time we come back to you, we will have more specific information how this whole thing is gonna
Yeah,
work.
it'll
That's
all be
fine.
laid out.
Yep, fine.
So this is just an informational.
This is an
This is where
informational
we are.
presentation,
This is
so,
what we
you know,
do.
as soon as we start the process, people will talk and discuss it, so we felt to have it open to the board and to the town to let you all know what we're working on.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience this evening. The next item would be the item we added, the business listings that Ms. Hardy recommended.
Right.
Okay, we'd had some previous discussion on this, and I had showed you a previous list was developed. Sorry it's taken a little bit of time for me to get together with Ms. Beckich, but I have 2 copies here of what they are able to generate with the new programming that we have been able to purchase with upgrade programs for the assessor's office and also a couple of the other business offices. I didn't have copies made for everybody because it's 22 pages long, which I think would surprise many people to know that we have that many businesses in town. All of these businesses are not open to the public, but it would give people some idea of what businesses are available. And also, as we go around to visit businesses, I think it's helpful to know where the businesses are, who the people are that are involved. So I'd ask you to take a look at the list and see if there is another category that you might like to have added, if you like this. There would be some variations of this that could be printed out. You could, for instance, have just the Niantic businesses. You could have just the East Lyme businesses. But I think for someone who wanted to come into town and start a business, do something, you'd be able to see, there's already a certain number of restaurants in town that might influence your decision. There's maybe electrical supply businesses that already exist, and that might influence you in where you might locate your business. What it isn't on this list is who the actual owner of the business is. And that might be something that we might like to have at some point as you think about maybe going to businesses and visiting them, seeing how they're doing. But if it's owned by a corporation as opposed to an individual, then you'll notice on the list that the corporation is listed and not an individual's name. So because we could make this available online for people if we wanted to do it that way. Certainly, we could have copies available here at Town Hall. If people wanted those, they'd have to pay. We have a standard fee for printing items through either the town clerk's office or some of the other offices. So that's basically what there is, and I'm very pleased to say that at least this basic listing, we could have available to us as is and not have to expend any additional funds. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. People think this would be of use?
No, I think this is just a result of the increased capability of the software from one period of time in that office to currently, and now people would like to have this list, they can request it. I'd suggest perhaps we put it on the website that business lists are available in the assessor's office. That would save us from making copies and
Right.
leaving them out there, and people can then get whichever they want. But I don't think there's any need to be hiring anybody in the future to do this, as was previously suggested. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Good. Is there any other further comments or questions on this item?
Just thank Roseanne for
Yes, for
organizing it.
persevering with this, thank you, Roseanne.
Well, that's Ms. Beckich's work, so she gets the credit. Is there anything else that you think that would be helpful to have here in listing another category?
Not necessarily.
By food?
No,
And
I don't, but perhaps the board will be look through that and see what's there, and then maybe come back and either bring it here or make a note directly to the assessor.
Okay, thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
Anything else on that item?
No.
Next item would be information and reports, the ex officio report.
I had nothing that we need to report on from inland wetlands or harbor management, considering we've been here for 2 hours and 20 minutes, so pass.
Thank you.
Planning Commission's meeting was canceled last evening, and there was a special meeting scheduled for the third Wednesday. The third Tuesday. That's it.
No.
Excuse me.
Quick update on zoning, there were 2 CAM reviews. The major item was, which you will have read about, was Gateway came before us in an informational meeting prior to a public hearing to discuss moving the entrance to the development. I believe the public hearing is tomorrow night, so I should have much more to report next time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nickerson?
All set.
Is it a public hearing tomorrow night?
I thought so. I may be mistaken.
Which
I thought on the Gateway?
There's not a public.
No, not
No.
a public hearing.
There's
All
not
right.
a
It's
public
just a
hearing.
regular
Regular meeting.
meeting
Sorry,
presentation.
I
Just a discussion
stand
amongst the
corrected.
zoning commission. They've had public hearings on that item. Anyone else? The boardwalk process is underway. They've mobilized their equipment and have begun the process of breaking down some of the concrete that they're going to use for fill. We have all of the permits and agreement and contracts from Amtrak for their participation, and it didn't cost us anywhere near $20 million to get to this point. Darrow's Ridge is moving forward. I was going to mention that we did get that money, but we have that. The regional interconnection should be with both towns have been moving things back and forth in terms of water and getting the pump stations, getting used to those things and getting the glitches out there in the water tank. It's been filled and drained and tested, and we expect to have the interconnection operational within the next week, and we will let everybody know when that happens. Celebrate East Lyme, I thought, was a great success, and I want to thank the town staff and the public safety community for coming together and make that a wonderful event. There were many, many thousands of people on there, and I say the public safety community because there were many towns that provided mutual aid for us to operate that. I do apologize again to the people over on Beckwith. I had no knowledge of that, so I've already sent an email. If you look in your email box to the board here, I copied you on my request for all of those departments, including Ledgelight Health District, to update me on any activity that's happened over the last 3 years so that we can begin the process of cleaning up that embarrassment. And I apologize, and we'll work to get that moved out. And then finally, the regional theater plays this week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's a whole host of talented young and older actors and actresses there that are doing a great job, and I suggest that you go. It's Footloose. It's Friday, Saturday at 7 p.m., and Sunday at 2. And that's my comment. Any questions on that before we move to Mr. Rando? Public comment? You gonna have something, Mr. Cullen?
I beg to differ here on the cost of the boardwalk, sir. If you had what Amtrak spent, and what we're spending, it's close to $20 million bucks. As always, Rando don't know what the hell he's talking about.